You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, GH fans. This video is coming at a fan request. I have done recent videos on 5 plots that B&B screwed up this year, 5 plots that Y&R screwed up this year, and one of our listeners here who also watches General Hospital said, please do one for GH, so I am. So some fans are excited about the writer's strike being over because they think it'll improve storylines, but there's another sizable faction of fans who thought the mystery replacement writers were kicking butt, moving things along, tying up loose ends. So most of the plots that I consider problematic are the ones that were already in play way before the WGA strike started back in May, and it ended on September 26th. And the scripts that the core writers wrote carried us all the way through July 24th. So everything you saw on the air till almost the end of July was the core writers unaffected by the strike, and a lot of this problematic stuff came from that writing room crew. So I just want to talk to you guys about 5 plots that I think really need cleaned up, and I can't wait to read your comments and get your thoughts on these, whether you agree or disagree. I love discussing the soaps. Hey, if you haven't already, please click subscribe so you don't miss any of our GH updates. And now let's dig in. The very first plot that I have a problem with and that I really hope is wrapping up next week is the endless SEC drama. I never thought I would get so tired of hearing those 3 letters, SEC. Ugh. But it looks like it is all going to come out soon. But that doesn't change the fact that it's been very problematic for a long time. So we've got Nina and Sonny walking down the aisle next week. Their wedding day begins on Thursday, October 12th. That same day, Michael Corinthos is stunned to find out something, and then the next day, on Friday the 13th, he decides to play dirty. So we just heard Michael telling his mom, Carly, he made a contact at the SEC and is trying to find out who reported her and Drew. Somehow, he thinks this will help Carly get her boyfriend out of prison. That's literally about the dumbest plot point going right now on General Hospital. It does not matter to the court that someone who hates Carly reported them for their crime. You know why? Because they actually committed the crime. That's the only thing that matters. If GH writes that Drew gets out of prison early because his girlfriend's rival dropped a dime, that is ignoring the law. So I know they're dredging all this up because it'll ruin Nina and Sonny. And yes, it should ruin them. Absolutely. But it should not also be a get out of jail free card for Drew. This whole thing, come on. It's dragged on way too long, and that's the overarching problem. If they find another way to let Drew out, that's fine. I don't want him in prison, but I don't want him released in a really stupid way. So maybe they could say the judge was bribed by Cyrus to hand down that sentence because Cyrus wanted him in Pentonville. I'm okay with that. That's fine. But letting Drew out on a sentence for which he is clearly guilty just because Nina made the report would be the sloppiest sort of writing. At this point, though, I honestly think most of us just want this plot over because it's tiresome and the SEC thing has been dragging since April. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is Eddie Maine. My issue with the Eddie Maine plot has got several little tendrils. First of all, Eddie Maine is not a person. He was a stage persona. Person and persona are 2 different things. Lady Gaga is Lady Gaga on stage. She's Stephanie at home. If she falls and hits her head, I don't think she's going to be talking about herself as Lady Gaga, as a actual person. Okay. So to flip a switch with a head injury to create a personality out of basically just a person's attitude on stage, that's just out of left field for me. But even say that Eddie Maine were a person, there are people on the character canvas that he should absolutely recognize. I understand that Eddie Maine would not know Leo or Olivia or even BLQ, but Eddie would know Tracy. She was around in his Eddie Maine days, and he should know Lois Cirillo when she shows up next week because she used to be his music manager. If Also, I just want to say this right now. If Eddie recognizes Lois while he didn't recognize Tracy, I will scream and throw something at my TV because that would be preposterous. So one thing I noted in the comments, you guys saying here, and I've noticed on Soap social media, people are trying to blame Nina for Ned turning into Eddie. Ned did that to himself. How many public swimming pools have you guys been to? More than a few, if you're like me, on vacation, growing up as a kid. How many pools have you been to that have a big old white sign with big red letters on it, do not run in pool area? Every single pool has that sign. There's one at the Metro Court pool too. Literally 10-year-olds know better, and Ned at the time, was in dress shoes. He wasn't even in bare feet or flip-flops, and he decided to run, not walk, to spill the beans. Preposterous. I always enjoy seeing Wally Kurth sing, and that All the Man You Need song was lit. So yeah, I'm happy to have Eddie, the stage person, around, but that's a stage name. It's not a human. It's not a person. And even if you can let that go because it's a soap, it's gone on for way too long, all to facilitate the SEC plot that has gone on way too long. And at present, it seems that Michael's going to be the one to figure it out, and then the Eddie reveal isn't even needed. And if it's not needed, why have we been watching it for months? If they wanted to let Wally Kurth sing, great. Ned could retire from ELQ and decide to do a reunion tour. I don't care about that. I enjoy seeing him sing. I just have a problem with the writing. All right. The third plot I have a huge problem with is the Esme amnesia. It makes me want to forget the plot and forget her. So one big problem that soaps have, not just General Hospital, is they write characters into a corner where they are irredeemable, but still the characters are popular with fans. So one case in point at GH specifically was Franco Baldwin. A lot of people really liked Franco, me included, but he was problematic. No matter how much he loved Liz or how good a stepdad he was, a lot of people couldn't get past the earlier plot points that he raped Sam and had Michael raped in prison. So what they did was they did the sloppy retcon. A retcon, if you don't know it, is a retroactive change to history on a show to justify a current or future storyline. So they did a retcon to say that he tricked Sam and Jason and didn't rape her, and then that somebody else was responsible for Michael's sexual assault in prison. But the whole stench of all that just stuck to Franco, so they killed him off, and they created Dr. Austin Gatlin Holt so they could keep Roger Howarth around. So now they've kind of written Esme Prince into a very similar situation. She is heinous, to be clear. She taped Joss and Cameron losing their virginity together and sent it to the whole of Port Charles University. Then she tried to frame Trina for the crime, and she almost got away with it. Esme also poisoned Oz Haggerty, and she might have killed him. He survived only for her awful mom, Heather, aka the Hook Killer, to take him out. Esme also seduced Nicholas Cassadine on her serial killer daddy Ryan's orders. The bottom line is Esme is bad to the bone, bad from birth. She is a genetic train wreck because she is the product of two horrible serial killers. The only reason Esme is not in prison right now is baby Ace and her amnesia. That is not a redemption story. A character like Esme is, to be honest, completely irredeemable. And that's sad because Avery Kristen Pohl is a great little actress, and I would love to see her stick around. Maybe Esme could have a good twin or something, and then they could just kill Esme off. Trying to make her a third in the love triangle with her victim Trina and her baby's brother Spencer also is just icky. They need to either have the reveal that Esme is faking her amnesia and just go ahead and make her a full villain or kill her off. They could give her a secret twin. As long as she's good, I'm fine with that. But they definitely do not need to let her continue living a happy life under Laura's roof when she harmed so many people. This needs fixed, and it needs fixed fast. And one side note, a lot of fans are ticked about Portia and Esme's interference in the Sprina storyline. A lot of you might think that I should have Sprina on this list of bad plots. I do not, and the reason I don't is because it looks like the storyline is finally going in the right direction. Whatever issues I had with it, I'm seeing them moved out of the way, and I'm seeing them move forward in a way that I like. So I'm not going to crap on that plot today. Let's move on to the next plot that I am crapping on, though, and that's Liz and Finn. Liz and Finn are a big issue for me, but overall, the larger issue is the writing for Elizabeth Weber for the past many, many years. Liz very rarely has a storyline of her own, and even when a story should be about her, they drag somebody else into it. Remember when Liz's rapist got out of prison? That turned out to be a story more about Franco than her, and they even dragged Sonny Corinthos into that storyline. Note to the GH writers, Sonny does not need to be in every storyline. He's great, but come on. It's like a tree falling in the woods and no one hears it. Is it really a plot on GH if Sonny's not somehow involved? Is Alexis going to add a column to The Invader? Movie reviews by the Teflon Don. The bottom line to me is that Becky Herbst has been on GH for more than 25 years. Why can't she have a decent storyline? She and Finn, to me, are very lackluster. I'm so glad they did not consummate their relationship in that icky workplace shower. It looks like it was just a hot and heavy makeout sesh where he was naked. I'm glad. I looked very carefully to make sure she kept her shirt on, so I assume they weren't having sex. It's just, ugh. Liz with Franco, it was very fun. It was very sweet. It was very intense. It was deep. When they finally made love, it was amazing. It was fireworks. Put Liz with Jason or Drew. That was interesting. That was intense. Liz with Rick Lansing was twisted and interesting and fun. Liz with the fourth character that GH has invented for Michael Easton does not thrill me at all. He's handsome? Sure. He's a doctor? Sure. But they don't have that intense vibe that she had with Franco, this deep, all-consuming love that ripped her apart when he died. I would be all in for Nicholas coming back and her getting with him. But Finn and Liz, to me, this is a quasi-romance, not even a real romance, because it's been dragging since 2021 is when they first started this. If you guys don't remember, I looked back because I was curious, how long have I been watching this? 2 years, y'all. That's when they really started getting close. So there's a slow burn and then there's a no burn. This is like watching snails do an awkward mating dance. It's icky. It's slimy. It's way too slow to be enjoyable. Kick them into high gear, or better yet, kick them apart. End it. Let them move on. He can go bang Tracy. She can get with Nicholas, help raise little Ace. I'm fine with any of that. Or, I don't know, make some drastic changes to Liz and Finn to make them enticing to me. I just feel like they said, oh, Liz is single. Oh, Finn's single. Oh, let's put them together really slowly, painfully slowly, like watching paint dry. I do think that shower scene was pretty hot the other day, but everything leading up to it, meh, I don't like it. All right, my fifth and final plot to complain about is the Pawtuck Hillbilly Mafia. This whole thing with the Pawtuck players is, frankly, it's just exhausting. For more than a year, we've been hearing about this. We didn't know who the boss was. It was some woman who was making Austin do illegal surgeries and not reporting stabbings, gunshot wounds, etc. Then they added Creepy Mason. That's okay. He's kind of a fun little villain character. But they never showed the boss, and it was taking so long. I'm almost certain they didn't even have a boss in mind when the plot started. Just the idea that, hey, it'd be fun if it was a woman. And then the other day, do you guys remember at the end of an episode, Mason was outside the hospital and whoever he's working for showed up, and he was like, oh, hey, I had to call you over here to talk or something. They never picked that back up. We never saw who that was. It was ridiculous. Just had to, that aside. So, I mean, if it was a woman, fine. Cassandra Pierce would have been great. Olivia Jerome, great. But no, they abruptly changed it from a woman to a man and slapped Cyrus into that spot when it was clear that was not the intent from the outset. Mind you, I love Cyrus. He's a good villain. Jeff Kober, great actor. one of the top actors I think they have on GH right now. But him being embroiled with the Pawtuck Hillbillies does not align to his known history that they've created. Cyrus was a drug runner from the Pacific Northwest, like Seattle area, literally across the entire country from New York. And yet he supposedly knew all these people, paid for Austin's medical school, so he's known them for years. I mean, it's already bad enough that Cyrus sees himself as the next coming of Christ, but how do you explain his brother Martin's foghorn, leghorn, Southern accent? Do the math. We've got a mobster from Seattle in bed with the upstate New York mountain hillbilly meth criminals, and we've got a Southern lawyer who seems to be doing his best Matlock. Make it make sense to me. Explain all these things. Make these puzzle pieces fit together, because they don't. Then they abruptly changed the Pawtuck boss from a she to a he, and that had some people actually wondering if it was Dr. Randolph because she's a trans character. That's how sloppy this plot is. You have fans pulling out random theories because they're trying to make the writing make sense, and it doesn't. All right, fine. It's Cyrus. Okay, just get on with it. But do explain at some point why Martin sounds like he had cotillion training while Cyrus has almost no accent. Explain it to me. All right, guys, that is my 5 plot gripes with General Hospital right now. These predate the writer's strike, so we cannot blame this on replacement writers. I think they were actually trying to cauterize the wounds and clean up the bloody mess that has been the plot canvas at General Hospital for the past, honestly, year and a half, 2 years. But now the core writers are back, and I'm really afraid the pace is going to move from 5th gear back to 2nd gear, and things are going to start making less sense, not more sense. But what do you guys think? Drop your comments below. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so, and definitely click a like if you enjoyed this conversation. I know it was long, but there was so much to complain about. All right, thanks for listening. This has been Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.